What's up, family? Welcome to a different perspective with King Ray. I'm your truly King Ray, of course. I'm just going to give my perspective on different things, my life experiences, and also, react to videos, where I get my perspective and, we can learn and grow together when it comes to just me communicating with y'all, me letting y'all know what's going on, me, showing y'all that I have conflicts, just like everybody else when it comes to things. As y'all know, it is Thanksgiving. And so we are going to react to a video that is called Watch This Before You Celebrate Thanksgiving. So we're going to get into that. Before I say that, I do want to mention something that has to do, and hopefully y'all can help me understand why this is, because I get a little confused sometimes with this. So I'm in the very beginning stages of building this platform here, King Ray TV. But I do have other platforms. I have a platform that has, a lot more traction and a lot more views, which means there's gonna be, a lot more people talking on it. And I also have King Ray TV, with my socials, and I have people commenting and chatting, on there and stuff like that. So when it comes to my other platform, and it's about conversations and me and my friends having our own perspectives and just whatever the case may be. And having this channel, like I said, as well, where I'm talking. And, one thing that I see that's weird to me, I don't know if it's weird to anybody else, but, when you be explaining your life experiences and you explaining, like, this is my perspective and this is what I understand from, what I went through in my life. For some reason, you got some people, that be so quick to be like, "Oh, you wrong." When people do this, it usually comes from like the clips. It don't come from like the whole video. It don't come from the whole conversation. Like it'll come from like a clip, like a short or wherever the case may be, and somebody would just be like, "You're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about." And it can be like about me speaking on a life experience and me saying this is what I think and this is my perspective off of what I actually been through in life. And for some reason, someone would just be like, "Oh, you're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about." Just like that. Like, no, they don't continue the sentence. They don't explain nothing. They don't explain why they think you're wrong or anything like that. And so, one, I just be thinking, like, one, how can you just jump? Like, if you know you don't have all the information because you just watched a clip that also says in the description, a watch the full convo, watch the full conversation, so you can see it in its entirety, and then you still choose not to do that, which is cool. I don't mind people watching clips because I think there is people out there that's like what I consider serial swipers, meaning like they just swipe, 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 swipe. They just get entertainment off of just swiping and looking at little clips, and they don't really go into the clips to see the full video and stuff like that. Like there's some people that just like that because some people just don't have the capacity to look at something in its entirety. Some people don't have they have like short attention span. So I get it, whatever entertains you. But if you are that type of person and you was never going to watch it in its entirety and get all the information, why are you so quick to jump in the comment section and say if someone's wrong or not? Like so I don't understand that part. That don't make sense. To me, that don't make sense. And then on top of that, if you see somebody talking about their life experience and they're telling you from my experience, this is what I experienced and this is what I gathered, when it comes to the information I gathered in my experience and why my perspective is what it is. How can you sit there, hear that, and still say, "Oh, someone's wrong for their like"? It's my actual life experience. It's like that's what happened in real life. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's not something I'm making up. And then what I feel like when it comes to some people that's quick to be like, "Oh, you're wrong," and they don't actually care to like make sure they don't sound like a fool or not. I mean, like me personally, if I'm ever going to have an opinion or a strong opinion about anything that somebody else is saying, I need all the information first. I need to know exactly what they're talking about. I need to understand exactly what they're talking about. I need to know the context of the whole conversation to their whole perspective before I give an opinion on anything. That's how I am. And I guess some people are not. And so it's like I don't know what to do with that. Like you say someone's wrong, I don't know what you're saying. I don't know what you're saying I'm wrong about. Why you saying I'm wrong? Because you don't have no reasons of why you even saying that. So I don't know how someone could just not know what they're talking about when you don't even have all the information for you to know what they're talking about. And so I don't understand that. That's a weird thing for me. Something I just don't get. But if y'all let me know if that's just a me thing, where I'm the only one that just think that's weird, but it's like I like to have an engaging conversation, and it's like, I want people to be at least intelligent enough, or show me their intelligence by, if you're going to say someone's wrong about something or they don't know what they're talking about, at the very least, be intelligent enough to say, this is the reasons why I think you're wrong. Stand on a strong enough foundation of your reasoning of why you think someone's wrong in the first place. And then if you do that, then, we can have, or you can say, even if you want to talk about experience, first off, you can't say someone is wrong about their experience. Their experience is their experience. But if you want to sit there and say, hey, this is my perspective from my experience because I have a different experience and this is my perspective. Okay, then we can have we can have an engagement. We can engage in a conversation to where, it makes sense to have a conversation with you, and at the very least, it's an intelligent conversation. But outside of that, if you're not willing to do that, then I don't understand the point of like telling you quick to say someone's wrong and you don't have all the information to even stand on anything, and you sitting there trying to downplay their actual experiences. Someone has did that to like one of my videos on a platform, so I don't understand that. But that's all I gotta say about it. So what we're gonna do, like I said, we're gonna get into this video right here because it is Thanksgiving. Um, like I said, the title of this video is "Watch This Before You Celebrate Thanksgiving." So as you can see here, we're going to get into it. We're going to react to it together. And I'm gonna let y'all know what my conflicts are in real life, and be honest with y'all, and just have the conversation. So let's get to it.
In a few days, many families across America will be coming together to celebrate Thanksgiving, seen by many as a day of giving thanks and appreciation. While so many families celebrate the holiday, very few know the real origins of the day. Even less people know the history of Thanksgiving and what's the true purpose of celebrating it. If you're interested in hearing what you were never told about Thanksgiving in school, stick around to the end, because you might just learn why they want you to blindly participate in it. Hey guys, I hope all is well.
Okay.
Welcome back to The Truth Is, where I drop new videos every other day exposing the truth. In today's episode...
Oh yeah, so who is this? All right, shout out the creator of this real quick, because I watched a little bit. Of course, I watched some of it to see if it catch my eye, whatever the case may be, to talk about. But yeah, the YouTube creator is The Truth Is. I went down some of his videos. He's definitely pretty interesting. He looks like he takes a deep dive in a lot of different holidays, and he got a really good perspective on things. So shout out to him, to this creator. The Truth Is. So y'all should definitely go to, like, I'm not gonna watch this entire video, but y'all should just go to his channel, check it out, check out this entire video. But yeah, let's get into it.
We're going to be talking about the truth about Thanksgiving that you weren't taught about in school. Let's get right into it. Every year on the last Thursday of November, many people around the world celebrate Thanksgiving by coming together with their family to have a feast. People come together and eat like kings, gorging on turkey and mashed potatoes and pumpkin pie, all while giving thanks to being with family. I remember Thanksgiving as a child was always great, as I was surrounded by family members while eating more food than we ate all week. Even though Thanksgiving was always great, I never really knew why we celebrated it. I was told in school it was due to the Pilgrims hosting a feast for the Native Americans. Now, as an adult, after researching many of these holidays for myself, I came to the realization that Thanksgiving might not be at all what we expected. The holiday's history goes much further back than the Pilgrims, tracing all the way back to the times of the pagans. You might be thinking that Thanksgiving is harmless since it's all about...
Now, I'm not gonna take a deep dive in it. I don't know everything, but because my grandmother and I was raised by different people in my life, and one of the people that played a part in my raising was my grandmother. And so, she is a Jehovah Witness, and she's been a Jehovah Witness since I was born. And so, um, yeah, I had a understanding of certain things when it came to holidays. And if you know anything about being a Jehovah Witness, they do not celebrate holidays. Um, Now, my grandmother did allow us in some type of fashion to be able to celebrate as kids, um, because it's like she put us in the midst of her religion, but she didn't like make us like practice, I guess you could say. Um, so I say that to say, I do have some type of understanding of like knowing uh, that um, these holidays is not what they seem, and they're they pagan holidays. Like I've always had an understanding of that they was pagan holidays and stuff like that. So um I never really cared for holidays like that. But I'll explain more. Let me just play the video some more. See what he got to say.
Eating and coming together with your family. The thing is, most people don't know what Thanksgiving was originally created for. It had nothing to do with pilgrims, but with giving thanks to the pagan gods. Now before I continue, don't get me wrong, my intentions with this video aren't to ruin Thanksgiving for anybody. I am not telling anyone not to celebrate Thanksgiving with their families. That's not my point with this video. My goal with this video is to help people know the truth, so they can determine if this is something they even agree to celebrate. I myself stopped celebrating holidays completely, as they all have a history that doesn't align with my Christian beliefs. If you saw my video on Halloween, then you should already remember that Halloween is also a pagan festival called Samhain. Last year, December, I also made a video on Christmas, which is another pagan festival called Saturnalia, which was celebrated by the Romans to praise the god Saturn way before it was converted into Christmas by the Catholic Church. Just like Halloween and Christmas, Thanksgiving is no different. Thanksgiving's true origins have nothing to do with the Pilgrims and the Native Americans, as Thanksgiving can be traced back much further. Thanksgiving is actually a pagan festival that was celebrated by the Celtics and the Romans. The Romans were known to celebrate a much earlier version of Thanksgiving that people celebrate in modern times that they called Cerealia. The festival was in honor of the harvest goddess of grain called Ceres. On this day, the Romans would feast and celebrate with friends and family just like people do today. The Celtics used to host harvest celebrations as well, in honor of the good harvest granted by the gods. This festival eventually became the British festival called Harvest Home. Even though Harvest Home didn't take place every year on the same day, it was still meant to celebrate the good harvest. There was also a separate religious holiday that was called the Day of Thanksgiving, which was practiced in the Church of England, where people would pick one day to give thanks to God. This may be how the holiday got its name, but all the Thanksgiving traditions, especially the Thanksgiving feast and the foods of choice made for the feast, all trace back to these two pagan festivals. A lot of the traditions we incorporate with Thanksgiving traces back to pagan roots. For example,
All right. So, yeah, I don't know what y'all guys think about this. I don't know if you guys understand this. Y'all probably, some of y'all, a lot of y'all probably do already. Um, Now, I don't, like I said, like I don't have a deep, like I don't have a deep understanding like he does. Like the YouTube creator does in making this video. I don't have the deepest understanding. I do have some understanding, and like I said, uh, so this has, I guess you could say, always been a conflict of mine. At least when I got to like a certain point, a certain age, and I didn't really have to think about it more until like recently because I never like when I was real small and I was a kid. Like yeah, I celebrated like the holidays and stuff like that because you're a kid and whatever. And like I said, my grandmother never kind of like stopped us from practicing, even though she gave us the understanding of you know why why she don't like celebrate whatever the case may be. Um, but then getting older, it was a point in time where I was not caring to celebrate holidays whatsoever, or even my birthday. Anybody would tell you, my family, anybody would tell you like I I didn't care to celebrate my birthday. I didn't care to celebrate. Like, I just wasn't into the whole celebrate one day type thing. And so holidays was just like, whatever. I treated like a regular day for a while. Then fast forward, getting in a different stage of life, having a wife, then you think about family things and how you will operate as a family. And me being a husband, I think about these things and I think about how I want to raise my kids and stuff like that. And so one of my conflicts that I've had, because the journey I've been through when it comes to, what I associate holidays with, is like the reality is I celebrated holidays my whole childhood. I celebrated Christmas, Thanksgiving, all that my whole entire childhood. Um, but the value that I've had on them was like much different than other kids because, I did have church, I did have Bible study. Like I said, my grandma was a Jehovah's Witness, so I had a deeper understanding of certain things and certain values. So I didn't really like. I wasn't into the whole like when it came to Christmas. Like, it wasn't about the gifts. It was about the other things that it was supposed to be about. Like when it came to Thanksgiving, it wasn't about the food. It was about like just being around your family, whatever. So even as a kid, that's how I looked at it. And I celebrated these holidays. And then, becoming an adult and not really caring for them like that because I just simply didn't care for them like that. And then, getting to a point now where it's like I have a wife. At some point, we'll have a family and stuff like that. And then I have to think about like, how do I want to raise them? What type of ideas do I want them to have an understanding of, you know? And so one of the conflicts I had was like, and I even spoke, me and my wife had this conversation before, and I told my wife this before, like, I'd be like, some days I'd be like, I'm on the fence with allowing them to understand or celebrate holidays. It's like I'm on the fence because I understand they not what they really are, especially Christmas when it comes to like where Christmas could even like make even little kids adopt, which is like kids kind of adopt like a selfishness and like sometimes Christmas can make kids devalue things in life and devalue uh things that you're not supposed to be devaluing in life because they start worrying about the gifts, they start worrying about what someone giving them. You know, they don't think of Christmas of giving, they think of Christmas of receiving. So, I'm big on making sure I instill the right values into my kids and knowing that these holidays are pagan holidays and they not what they seem. Having an understanding of that, and so, but also knowing how my childhood was, and like holidays was kind of beautiful for us as kids. Like I still have a lot of different memories of different holidays that like became like special to me as a kid and stuff like that. Um, so it's like I have this conflict today of like, do I want my kids to celebrate holidays and just give them a different perspective and value system on them so they can understand the bigger picture of it ain't about the holiday. It's about like when it comes to Thanksgiving, it's not about the holiday. It's about being with your family or whatever. Or when it comes to Christmas, it's not about taking but receiving. Like these type of things. Like I know I can I know I can instill those things, you know, to them. But it's just that conflict that I have where I just like some days I was like, oh, it should be fine because I have a way that I can go about it to where I can make it a different type of just like he kind of explained at the very end in the video, and he's like, yo, that's probably why they started calling it Thanksgiving as at some point because they kind of Christians kind of, or what he said, the Catholic Church kind of changed it to make it into something that was more about God, and then that's probably where the word Thanksgiving came from. So it's like that's the thing. It's like, do I want to remix it like that so they can still have these special moments and not feel left out with you know the rest of society that celebrates it, in the schools that celebrates it, whatever the case may be, but give them a better value system and perspective on the true meaning of life, or like what I'm saying. So I just like I that's the conflict I have. I'm human, you know. I don't always know what the right thing to do, like I try my best like everybody else, and yeah, I just have a certain value system to where I just try to navigate this world and I try to figure out off of my understanding was just like, you know, what should I do in certain instances. Um, but yeah, that's just my perspective on it. Y'all could y'all could be in the comment section and let me know y'all perspective on it. Um, and just to be honest with y'all, like I said, to be real with y'all, my perspective is throughout my experiences and what I understand, I have a conflict with it. Like it's not like I have a solution to the conflict just yet, but right here in real time on this Thanksgiving day, where I'm, about to go actually see my family pretty soon and spend some time with them, because that's my family. I love them, and I'm a loner. I'm more of a person that is I'm antisocial and stuff like that. So it's like I'm the type of person that got to keep in mind to like see family sometimes and stuff like that. And so of course Thanksgiving, of course this is when they're going to be together. And so I'm just gonna go out and see them or whatever. But yeah, man, this is a conflict for me. I don't know how y'all feel about it, but this is a conflict for me as far as like as a husband and you know at some point going to be a family man and at some point going to be a father and you think about what you're going to instill in your kids. And for me, it's like, yo, do I want to instill these pagan holidays even though they won't understand that it's pagan holidays? Do I want them allow them to celebrate them just like my grandmother allowed us to celebrate them? So I don't know, man. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Be real, be honest. You be vulnerable. Let me know, y'all, if y'all have any conflicts too, if y'all understand what I'm saying. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, catch y'all later. Peace.